Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, and you are taking a live look over at the Capitol building there in D.C. The House this week passed a bill to address the spying threats posed by the use of telecommunications equipment made by untrusted foreign entities, including two Chinese firms. The bill, known as the Countering Untrusted Telecommunications Abroad Act, is aimed at securing U.S. embassies overseas along with the telecom networks of countries that have collective defense treaties with the U.S. Now, what does all that mean? Because it just sounds like a lot of words to most people. Hugh Odom is a telecom expert, and he is the founder and president of Vertical Consultants, a telecom and cell tower consulting firm. He does join us now live to talk more about all of this. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time here to join us.
Thank you. We appreciate the time.
So first off, what does this mean in average Joe speak?
Well, it means the U.S. is trying to combat with China with regards to 5G. And what's happened is China has backed and subsidized companies like Huawei to go out and promote cheap equipment across not only the United States, but all across the globe. And this latest act is another shot at China to basically go to allies across the globe and say, look, we're going to mark names, take names of who are using these Chinese-backed companies for their telecommunications, more particularly their 5G networks. And it's a way to put a pressure on those countries to get rid of those Chinese-backed companies that are providing 5G. Right now, we're both in an economic and intelligence battle with China as it relates to telecom. China understands that controlling telecom through 5G is very important, not only for economic reasons, but military and intelligence reasons. This is another, again, back and forth with China to basically go to those countries that I mentioned and say, look, stop using China-backed products. It's happened in the UK. Germany is basically almost to the point where they're going to remove all the the Chinese-backed equipment. And so it is another, again, back and forth between China and the U.S. to try to get this resolved, that we believe that this is a national security risk.
Are there specific companies here that are actually being targeted?
The biggest company is the biggest 5G promoter and developer out there, which is Huawei. Huawei is by far the largest developer of 5G equipment. They hold the most patents. They have sold the most over the last several years, and their equipment is, again, across the globe. And what they've done is a very smart business model. They've gone into all these countries and said, look, we'll not only provide you equipment that's better, we'll provide you equipment that's a lot cheaper than you can buy in the US or in Europe. And basically what that's doing, because under Article 7 of the Chinese Intelligence Act, Huawei, which says it's a private company, is mandated to provide data that it collects off that 5G equipment to China. And what that is providing is a way to get into these countries, including the U.S., and to collect that data as a Trojan horse. And if China asks for that data, they're mandated to provide it. But Huawei is the biggest company we have to worry about with regards to not only here in the U.S., but across the globe.
Is there something else the House or lawmakers in general should actually be doing in this situation? Of course, we know they have passed this bill, but is there anything else that they should be doing?
Well, the first fundamental thing they should be doing right now, back in 2019, there was a mandate, an act passed to remove all Huawei and other Chinese-backed telecommunication equipment, more particularly 5G equipment, across the United States. To date, only 30% of that equipment approximately has been removed. The reason being is they funded it, the Congress funded it, but came up $3 billion short. Right now, we are talking about foreign actors using 5G equipment from China, but ourselves, all throughout the United States, millions upon millions upon millions of people throughout the country, mostly rural America, still have 5G equipment that's basically Chinese-backed 5G equipment. And that needs to be removed. There's an act called the Rip and Replace Act. That was put in place. The problem is there's no money to actually do it. And we're sitting there, we're worried about what's happening overseas, but we need to first act upon that. That should be the first mandate of the Biden administration, Congress as well, to get this equipment off our cell towers across the United States.
Is this bill, in your opinion and your experience, actually going to do anything?
I think it's just a way that we can pressure, again, countries abroad to say, look, you need to remove this. This is kind of, again, a political pressure to say we're taking names. And if you have this equipment up there, we're going to put pressure on you to remove it. This is our move to do two things. One, from a national security level, we're trying to, again, prevent any kind of national security issues with regards to information being passed across equipment here and abroad. But also, it's an economic play as well. If we can drive down the 5G equipment that's being promoted by China, more particularly Huawei and others, then we can promote our own, and Europe can promote their own equipment, and basically put economic pressure upon China. And this is going to be a back and forth because China's doing the same thing. They're putting pressure on countries that are saying, look, we want to get this equipment off our cell towers. And they're pushing back and saying, look, if you do that, we're going to counter with this. So it's a back and forth. This is a 5G battle across the globe because both US and China understand the importance of controlling this technology for, again, economic, military, and intelligence reasons.
Why should people in the American public necessarily be paying close attention to this? How does it affect your, average person?
Well, the simple answer is if you're driving down the road, especially in rural America, because that's where most of this equipment is because it's bought by smaller entities and smaller broadband carriers. If you're driving down the road and you're worried about TikTok, you're being on TikTok, don't worry about TikTok. Worry about you driving down the road and you're using a cell tower, which has Chinese-backed Huawei equipment on it. Basically, they're collecting your data off of that. So this is, again, not just a small issue. It's across the United States. And we have a situation where we're so worried about small things, but we have these big issues that are with regards to data collection for not only military and intelligence, but normal, everyday citizens of the United States. And this needs to be addressed. I can't emphasize how important this is, and people don't understand. They think they're driving down the road, they're hitting off an AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile tower. They're not. Sometimes they're hitting off a small company, and those small companies, especially in rural America, have used this Huawei equipment.
All right, Hugh, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and break that down for us. Anything else that you want to add about all this before I let you go?
Well, I think that the next thing here is the next level. Once we get 5G, Biden administration right now is moving toward, we have to start promoting the U.S.'s progression into 6G. This is the next level of economic, military, intelligence control. We have to control the telecommunications across not only the United States, but across the world.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time here to join us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right, everyone. The time now is 9:39 on